Hi, this video is a requested addendum to my workshop proposal for the 2019 FGNA conference, as was submitted on Tuesday, January 29th. The title of my workshop, Augmented Reality and Multisensory Skeletal Modeling in the Feldenkrais Method, Reimagining What Was Always Already There. My name is Tim Sobey. I have most recently completed my doctoral research area and formal graduate degree with a PhD in physiological psychology and subspecialization in an area that investigates the neuropsychology of embodiment in mind-body vis-a-vis body-mind interactions, especially the role of body area perception in chronic pain. I also have 30 years clinical experience as a physical therapist and 20 years of, shall we say, artistic development as a Feldenkrais practitioner in the Feldenkrais method. I've been in private practice in the Pacific Northwest since 1996. We take a look here now at seminal work by Moshe Feldenkrais, Awareness or Movement, where on the first line of his preface statement begins this way: we act in accordance with our self-image. This concept is important but not always tangibly understood. It is only recently that new research in chronic pain by Wand and colleagues in Fremantle, Australia in 2016 has demonstrated that altered self-perception might just be a more important determinant of clinical severity in chronic low back pain and other indicators of psychological distress, pain, catastrophizing, fear avoidance beliefs, lumbar pressure, pain threshold testing, and many other traditional physical exam findings combined. And so this term self-image, when practiced in Feldenkrais, probably does indeed mean perceptual body, background body schema. That is the experience of whole self being implicitly re-encoded and mapped out throughout the brain and central nervous system in multisynchronous and cross-modal sensory representations, all co-occurring and integrating ourselves in daily functions of action between inner and outer worlds. My own particular contribution, encoded here in my dissertation, explores a greater understanding of how acquired distortions in background body schema, inadvertently learned as either compensations or contributions to chronic pain, can be in fact unlearned through the enrichment of alternative and competing sensory pathways that aim to reroute or perhaps reconstruct the perceptual body from experienced in a segregated state of being with distorted body part representation, imaging findings, misdirected interrelationships, functional findings, instead cultivate toward a more unified and continuous status for new and integrated possibility for improving ease, sense, movement, emotion, cognition, thereby making the intangible more tangible. Though the aim of touch and movement in our work is that of a quality that aims to construct and project an image through qualities of our interactive touch and experience with our clients, we could still use some added inter-accessory and interceding help. Your first visit with clients or students necessitates taking a general health history, some kind of investigation of movement limitation behaviors and the symptom profiles that brought them here to see you, and the essential interview, interpersonal rapport building, all of which typically takes 45 minutes or so. That means you only have 15 minutes to make a first impression difference. One prospect is to help them to appreciate that they are not fully aware and that gaps in awareness may be a significant contribution toward perpetuating their problem ongoingly. So one awareness gap that seems consistently and observably universal is this: no one is really accurate with locating their hip socket axes. And in many cases, the more chronic the pain, the more distorted the mislocalized image of this central relationship in our body. So the first modeling procedure I do to fulfill a mutually agreed upon perceptual gap, disparity in anatomical localization that helps everyone, regardless of diagnosis, is to perform my signature virtual reality hip replacement. I actually overlay model bone segments, in this case a femur, onto persons during the course of functional integration so as to augment a more composite and multisensory view of what's already there, hence enhancing a more tangible form of investigating how a low-cost augmented reality can augment function. Is it a specialized manipulation? Yes. But the difference here, especially in Feldenkrais, is that the patient is more consciously and actively involved in perceiving and engaging their own process. They subsequently stand, feel, and walk differently, and for the better, every time and for the first time with my first session, predictably fail-safe and guaranteed to win confidence and commitment. So turning to my evidence-based dissertation, we can see how skeletal models can precisely be directed to on a person's functioning. We act according to our self-image, not always clear. My opening question, so where do your legs attach to your body? Can you indicate with 1 or 2 fingers precision? People will be here in the rib cage, a lady with a liver transplant pointed there. People can be at their mid-thigh, but just above their knee. A pharmacist that was burned out on his job placed his hands there. Most people are peripheral to what's actual. I have a maneuver that we do that actualizes a more accurate location and condenses the disparity. There are persons who can even point to an area of themselves where the fingers are actually asymmetrical, but their perception is that their hands are actually equal. Cases of chronic pain that have been long-lasting in multiple locations certainly exhibit that. So this mislocalization is becoming evident in functional MRI. To help remedy this, reconstructing the body schema through touch and movement, haptic self-touch to augment and amplify sense of self as another piece of this. Even getting to breathing, just by overlying ribs onto a person's thorax can facilitate with breathing extension and automatic expanded breathing. The inner ear is certainly a vital area that's a hidden sense within ourselves, and getting a sense of trajectories and vectors and how our pelvis-head relationships correlate, certainly important and needs to be incorporated within functional integration. There are Vicon vectors, kinematic avatars from computerized data to show how ground reaction forces move up the chain. That's used as part of the imagery. There's even surreal identities, centaurs, half human, half horse relationships that can actually animate a person's manner of being. And then finally, just coalescing all this, the first segment of my intervention for the research dissertation, we began with hips. We looked at inner ilia, costal rib connection, and inner ear. Each of these has applications through functional integration. We then continued on with awareness and movement that focused on ground support, and then transitioning to phase 3, movement trajectories in space. But the skeletal density imagery served as a primary ideokinetic activity for movement. And looking at a conceptual chart here, physical therapy tends to have a motor engram that gets repeated, just going through the motions over and over again. In the model of virtual reality bones a la Feldenkrais, and here's the logo, virtual reality bones, multimodal approach, inner bridges and outer arcs. You can localize your body schema in the brain using these tools. Just looking here, we can see that virtual reality bones can provide an afference copy to alter the adjustment of working body schema. I look forward to, self here, because I know I'm running out of time. I look forward to offering, this is maybe 10, 15 years of work that culminated here, as a way to help encode Feldenkrais method into the beings of our clients